Now, I would like to present you the 10 principles that were elaborated under this policy. Because, well, Oxfam recognized the need for disaster risk reduction when disasters are significant factors and contributors to poverty and suffering. So everywhere where disasters are significant and increase poverty and suffering, Oxfam is saying that we should integrate disaster risk reduction in our program and even in our humanitarian response. So now I'll present the 10 principles, but instead of just presenting them in a very boring way, I'd like just for us to reflect on them. Can you? Sorry, I'm really... Okay. So I will ask you questions, but it's not a test, it's not an evaluation. Don't worry. It will be very unfair because the policy is very recent, so it will be very unfair, and you don't know it. So it's just for us to reflect on our practices and our ways of working. Okay? So, for example, how many of you, in your country, have disaster risks been analyzed in your national change strategy? Do you know if there is a section in your national change strategy with, India? No? Nepal. Who else? Ethiopia? Nicaragua? Colombia? Okay, yeah. So that's good point. Well, I think in the guidelines for the NCS, it was already put in the guideline that you needed to assess the disaster risk anyway, so good. When you're designing a program and projects, are you analyzing the disaster risks and their potential impact on your intervention? Yes? Nepal? Who else? Well, okay. Well, one of the principles in the policy is that if disaster risks could represent a significant factor for increasing poverty in your community where you're developing your program and project, you must do a real disaster risk analysis. And in Oxfam, we have tools and instruments and methods to help you do that. Don't worry, we don't say you should do it. No, we also provide you with support and tools to do that. Okay? Is climate change also integrated in your disaster risk analysis? Okay, that's another thing that within the principles we should not forget. Of course, climate change, but I don't think we will forget anymore climate change now in our risk analysis.
This project in Guatemala we visited these days. With the project that we visited in Nicaragua, the risk has been the climate change risk, and I think it's the first time for Latin America that the risk has been included in project design.
Okay. When disaster risk is significant in where you're working, are you working with other stakeholders, partners, the community, the government, other NGOs, to define a disaster risk reduction strategy? By that I mean, could be small components, could be project activities that will also support reduce the risk. That's something, one of the principles of the policy. You need to integrate disaster risk actions and measures within your program. A strategy, yeah. Have you developed the RR indicators and to monitor, measure, and communicate your impact? How the way you will be integrating DRR will maximize your overall development efforts. So you need to at the beginning, develop DRR indicators as well. Is your intervention enabling women, men in understanding disaster risks, in identifying solutions, and in negotiating the means to implement this. Our disaster risk reduction activities should empower the community to work, should empower the communities on disaster risk reduction as well. You are not going just to build some small dikes or anything. Okay, Principles 7 and 8. Are you working with others like civil society organization, government, even donors to achieve political commitment to disaster risk reduction? So working in networks to push for a new policy, review the policy or plans, a new budget for disaster risk reduction. Are you working with donors as well for them to have more funds for better integrating disaster risk reduction in their development programs? Is your country office or regional center or Oxford House making sufficient resources, human and financial, available for developing organizational capacity for disaster risk reduction? Well, if not, well, I don't do my job well, but don't worry. We've been developing quite some tools and some support, so you can come to us, huh? I mean, it's not perfect yet, and we're still working on it, but we are here to support you. Okay? And as well, in your country offices, most of you, there is someone who is working on DRR. You should also tap him or her. Is your country office or regional center ensuring that organizational structures and ways of working are conducive to a multidisciplinary cross-M approach to reducing vulnerability to disasters? So all those 10 questions refers to the 10 principles. And we are hoping, and the policies that say that you are expected, I mean the country office and the programs are expected to respect those principles. Well, starting from now, I don't know, but starting from April 7, of course that will be not, I mean it will be rolled out with time. I mean, we're not expecting you, in fact, to do it now, but maybe in 5 years' time. I don't know how long it took the gender policy to, it's still on. I guess it will be the same. But only in the case where disaster risks are a significant factors contributing to poverty and suffering. If the risks are low, I mean, you're not expecting to do all that. Okay?